This is an interview between GOLDINVEST DE and Enviroleach Technologies, which is an up and coming recycling company in the area of e-waste, specifically on what's referred to as, what's it called, printed circuit boards, which is the valuable part in computers, obviously. And
yes,
that is a hugely increasing market. And the one thing that any recycling company has going for it versus the let's say the traditional resource companies is that it doesn't have to mind that it's running out of resources. That resource is going to grow.
mm-hmm.
So this is really the start to give us the overview of the highlights of Enviroleach.
Yes.
I think we are supposed to talk about chemistry to start with, and then what makes Enviroleach unique, and where do you see the opportunity moving ahead?
Okay. All right. Now, what I've done is, Sven, of course, gold mining sector is going to be a big part of the future of this company, and
yes,
but it's an environmentally friendly twist
yes,
on that. So it's also important, I believe, and I'm also making the entrance here to the recycled catalytic converters as well. So we're looking at the primary markets and the secondary markets for the recovery of those precious metals.
Okay.
Okay. So, so how do you want to do this? You want just to start?
You have the deck, and you maybe give some high level comments to each slide, and then I'll jump in if there's any questions.
Okay, sure. Let's give it a shot. Let's do this.
Welcome, Jason, by the way.
Oh yeah, there's Jason.
Good morning. How are you? Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I'm good.
Good.
Okay, so you can switch to the next to the first slide, Dwayne.
Okay, do you want me to just start in on the presentation, or you want to ask me questions or introduce me, or?
Well, you know, we will write an introduction anyways. You're the CEO of the company, obviously, and the founder. But you know, we could also hit it off by asking how you got involved into this space, because this is and this is not new to you. The company has been around for, I think, 4 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we're at an advanced stage in a way, and about to really prove the concept commercially. That's I think a fair description.
Entering the commercial phase of our life cycle. Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, Sven. My name is Dwayne Nelson. I'm the president and CEO of Enviroleach Technologies. Enviroleach is a very unique company. We've developed chemistry that allows us to extract precious metals from gold ores and other recycled components, such as printed circuit boards, or catalytic converters, and so on. So we offer an environmentally friendly, cost-effective, and sustainable alternative for the recovery of those metals. What really makes it unique is that if you compare it to the incumbent technologies currently used to extract these metals, you're competing with things such as cyanide and mercury and smelters, where if you look at Enviroleach, all of our ingredients are actually FDA approved for human consumption. So it's a very, very safe, environmentally friendly, and sustainable alternative to the existing technologies that are currently being used in these sectors.
Yeah.
So it's also, there's no wastewater, there's no air emissions. It's a massively reduced CO2 footprint from conventional smelting. It operates at a neutral pH, and there's no tailings. So there's no tailings ponds. It's a very, very low environmental impact for the conventional gold mining extraction. And obviously, it's a safe alternative to cyanide and mercury, which is currently used predominantly today.
You know,
The three factors.
it's truly a stretch of in the imagination to think about a chemistry that's so benign and yet so effective. The only thing that one could think of is bioactive, let's say, microbes eating through the rocks, so to speak. But that's not that your let's say the basis of your chemistry is unorganic. It's not nothing to do with any let's say micro.
No. Ours is inorganic electrochemistry is what it is, and some of the inherent problems. Bioleaching, as you mentioned, has been around for years, but
Yes.
there's a number of reasons why it's never been used on a commercial basis or on a sustained basis. Is you're dealing with bugs ineffective. You're dealing with microorganisms that are not that don't fare well with all of the metals or other contaminants that may be involved in the extraction or recycling of these golds. So ours is a very unique chemistry. As a matter of fact, since cyanide was introduced in the conventional mining sector in the 1870s, this has sort of been the holy grail for all gold miners, is trying to find an environmentally friendly, non-toxic and safe alternative to the use of cyanide. And we are that holy grail. We have completed this. It's taken us 4 years and $30 million to get to this stage. Okay. We're entering commercial production now. We're in revenue, and we're in discussions with hundreds of companies on this.
And I think you're backed by, or let's say the chemistry is also supervised by SGS, I think, as your main part.
Well, SGS did some preliminary work and did independent testing on our formulas. We basically gave them the recipe. They went out and they purchased the necessary ingredients. They followed the recipe and did find that our chemistry is more effective than cyanide. On that material that they ran, both our chemistry and cyanide both achieved 96% recoveries, which are phenomenal. Yes. The difference was that our chemistry did it in 5 hours versus 32 hours for cyanide. So not only is it more environmentally friendly, but the leach efficacies, the ability or the speed at which it reacts with these metals is far superior to that of cyanide.
Okay. So you basically split it up in 3, let's say, silos. The one that is currently maybe the most upfront is the e-waste, but gold mining, of course, is one slot, so to speak, or one application, major application where this technology, where this chemistry actually will be applied. Although, of course, that is, how long term is that? That's really the question. And then there's catalytic converters. Probably mainly because of the platinum contained, PGE contained. So how do you weigh and how do you prioritize these 3 slots, so to speak?
Well, originally it was designed for the gold mining sector, which is there's approximately 3,500 tons of gold produced every year, and the majority of it is produced using cyanide. So, so that is a tremendous market for us, and there's tremendous interest, not just because it's a green, sustainable, but or alternative, but it helps the gold miners in getting permitting, getting access to areas that they could not get access to. It really helps to unlock the value of literally thousands of deposits that were just not considered economic simply because of the location or the size of the deposit itself. And when you look at the new introduction and the recent advantages or advancements that we've made in situ leaching on the gold mining sector, we think that is the future of gold mining, is not having to go underground, but effectively just injecting this solution into the ore body and pumping it back to the surface and extracting the gold. So
we have written about this, and we clearly there's this analogy to the uranium space 40 years back when the in situ leach was new. But that's again the introduction of and the change of mind that involves is a long haul, I would say. Where do you think the immediate, let's say, low-hanging fruit lies, or for Enviroleach currently?
Yes, clearly when you've got a technology that's this disruptive, there's always a long adoption process.
Yes.
And it was the same in the personal computer space, the cellular telephone space. People don't realize that it was a 7-8 year adoption cycle on those sectors as well. So we've identified the low-hanging fruit in the areas that are currently being serviced by smelters. And predominantly, we see that in e-waste, or more specifically, the heart of the e-waste, which is the printed circuit boards. And what we find interesting about this market is that your typical gold mines today are producing less than 2 grams per ton of gold.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at printed circuit boards, even the low-grade circuit boards are containing 1/2 ounce of gold or better. So the overall, if you were to look at this on a comparative value, even 1 ton of low-grade circuit boards are worth almost $4,000. So that's the equivalent, gold equivalent, of almost 2 ounces per ton. So you have the copper, you have the gold, the silver, and the palladium. And now we're using our chemical talents to extract the tin from these printed circuit boards, which is a tremendous challenge for this sector. No one has been able to get the tin out. And the tin, now today with tin over $30 a kilo, that represents $500 to $1,000 per ton of unlocked value.
And tin, there's a lot of tin in these things, because tin is the glue for electrical, let's say, connections.
Yes. Yeah, in a lot of cases, you'll see it's in the solder and other components within the boards themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that is really going to help us on our cash flows going forward, because, again, we're the only ones that would be getting paid for tin. The smelters do not pay for tin.
You're not there yet, though. Currently, the way you deal with this is and again, we wrote about this, but I'm just summing it up. You reduce the net amount of e-waste, or of the printed circuit boards, by getting rid of or extracting the plastics, so to speak, and really then extract the gold out of the plastics, which is the only way. The only alternative doing that is by burning it, which we're not doing. And then you're sending off a very reduced package of maybe 350 kilos per ton to the smelter to deal with it. That's the current stage, as far as I remember it.
You're absolutely right. What we're doing now is we have built a plant that can handle up to 200 tons per month of printed circuit boards. We're looking at expanding that. The overall market is phenomenal. I mean, there's 3 million tons of these printed circuit boards that are being recovered every year. In North America alone, there's 600,000 tons, and we're looking at building a series of plants. The plants that we're designing and engineering right now are about 6,000 tons per year. The cost is less than $10 million to build one of these plants, and the returns, the plants almost pay for themselves in the first year. So we see a tremendous economic advantages here, even without the introduction of the copper tin recovery from these printed circuit boards. So if you look at these, they're typically 30% metal content in printed circuit boards, and the balance is carbon. It is fiberglass based, it's resins, it's plastics, and so on. And that's currently going to smelters and being burned off in the environment, producing millions and millions of tons of
and not only that, it's obviously so inefficient to transport that let's say void material that is not valuable to the smelters per se, and they actually penalize the recyclers for sending kind of impure, low grade stuff. So that's where you come into play as an aggregator, as somebody who's currently in the middle of the recyclers and the smelters, and adding value to both sides. That's the way I understand your business model, correct?
Yeah, I mean, this is not like we have to go out. We've created an incredible invention, and we have to go find a home for it.
Yes.
These markets exist today. This is in play already. All we have to do is stand between the supply and the smelters and offer a cost-effective green alternative. And we have no competition outside of the current smelters. And we just see nothing but opportunity within this sector.
And the way you basically monetize this very quickly is by getting the gold out of the plastics, as we just said, which is a very, in comparison to the smelter way, a very fast way to cash flow for you and the recyclers, I would guess.
Yes. I mean, I think we processed almost 100 tons. We're just getting started now. COVID had basically shut down the printed circuit board sector for almost over a year. And we're now seeing the resurgence of the recycling sector again. We just set up a subsidiary company in the Middle East. We're looking at pulling 300 to 500 tons a month of printed circuit boards out of there. We're in conversations with companies all over the world right now, in North America, in Europe, and in Asia. And we have line of sight already on over 2,000 tons a month of printed circuit boards. So,
which, in the overall picture, we were just saying 3 million tons per annum is not even a drop in the ocean, really. It's more or less the confirmation of the concept. That's the way I see it. And then the growth of this could be really almost not limitless, but extremely high, because even the couple of plants, I think you were planning 4 plants in the US, 6,000 tons each. They would just cover, I think, something in the order of 4% of the US market, which is really nothing in comparison, I would say.
it just scratches the surface,
Yes.
And what's really interesting is those four plants will generate over $100 million and some $40 to $50 million a year in net profits. So it's a market that needs to be addressed.
You mean net profit?
We don't have to create
or do you mean earnings, EBIT? Or anyways, so it's not revenue. The 100 million are really net profit, you say?
No. Those 4 plants, it would be projected that each plant would do approximately $25 to $50 million in revenue per plant.
Okay.
We expect that the profits are in the 20% margin.
Okay, 20% margin.
And it doesn't include
the
advantages of the tin and copper recovery as well. So that would help to really enhance the profitability of the process.
So to summarize, you're just at the point of ramping up the commercial production in your what is referred to as your pilot plant in Vancouver at a potential rate of 200 tons per month, which would give you maybe 2,500 tons per annum, something like that.
Yes.
But let's say the actual full-size plant would then be double that size, say. But if you can show the viability of this already at the smaller scale, the risk to just making these things bigger and with different locations should be relatively manageable.
It is. And again, it's a cookie cutter formula. Once you've got the design and engineering complete on that large scale plant, it's just cookie cutter to, across the world. Small plant that we have now is capable of $1 million a month in revenue based on some 200 tons a month of low grade printed circuit boards. Then as we grow to, of course, the 6,000 tons per annum, you get the efficiencies of scale there as well. So in essence, because this is a chemical compound, the limiting factor is only the size of the tanks that you are in, basically digesting this material in.
I see. Well, Europe is very big in recycling. There's a couple of big groups here. Just to name one, Umicore is a major group. I would imagine that a technology based on an innovative chemistry should be very much down their alley, currently it might be just too early stage, but eventually I would imagine that a group like that would certainly want to have a close look at what you're doing, because they understand what the opportunity is, especially as they have, as they're dealing with gold in their case.
You know, we look at this as almost like an early stage miner. It's our job to bring innovation to the sector, to cultivate that innovation, to invest early stage, get it to the point of commercialization. And then obviously, you know, there are going to be some larger companies going to inevitably come in and take this company to the next level.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I think that was already a good summary. Maybe is there anything else? Well, that's details on the processing. The markets as such, we discussed those. They're huge, no question.
Yes. I'd like to stress the point that this is not an early stage chemistry. I mean, we have produced hundreds and hundreds of ounces of gold with this process. We've processed thousands of tons now of printed circuit boards. Even in just our test or pilot scale testing on the gold mining sector, you know, we've produced over 1,000 ounces of gold.
Yeah.
So this is nothing that is just working in the laboratory. This has been proven in the field. We've actually proven it at mine sites, at locations. We have a plant that's running today, and we hope to be in a neutral cash flow or positive cash flow by this fall. So if you were to look at the key drivers, they're large markets, there's limited competition, it's a proven technology, it's superior performance to the incumbent technologies. And that's important because typically when people think of environmentally friendly alternatives, there's always a cost. It's either it costs more or it doesn't work as well. So this is really unique in the fact that it offers both superior economic and environmental performances and compared to the incumbent technologies. As you've seen in the clean tech sector now, if you were to look at the comps or the competitors companies that are in the clean or comparable companies that are in the clean tech sector, we have a market cap of some $50 million. And we have, I think that we had one of the bankers helped us put together a list of those comparable companies, and we'd be happy to share that with you. Is, out of the 20 companies, I think we had more revenue last year than most of them. And the average valuation on those clean tech companies is $500 million compared to our $50 million market cap. So, we feel that as people get to know the company better, as we reach out and expand our shareholder base, and we look at uplisting to a different exchange, we want to deliver that value to the shareholders. And I think it's an early stage opportunity with a proven and patented and really unique technology.
Thank you, Dwayne. I think we should leave it at this point. We must certainly pick this conversation up at another time and maybe just talk a little bit more in depth about certain aspects that I find really intriguing, like maybe potentially your involvement in, let's say, in the mining space, helping mining companies to deal with their concentrates, for example. That could certainly provide opportunities, or even down the road, this in situ leach opportunity, which completely could change the way we're thinking about, let's say, gold mining or mining in general, because it would just, eliminate the necessity to move the earth so much, and leaving a mess behind, including tailings and stuff. So, but that's just, I think, blue sky to me, at least at this stage. What I take away is, as you said, you are just about ramping up, even going, aiming to be cash flow neutral towards the fall. And we are certainly looking forward to get the update here and should make sure that Europe also, let's say, acknowledges that something new is coming here to deal with our e-waste. Because I think there's no question in my mind, if you show the viability of this in North America, Europe should follow suit right there immediately, if not even take the lead on this.
Yeah, we're definitely getting a lot of interest out of Europe. As a matter of fact, I think we're just getting our first 40 tons in from Germany in the next 30 days. So
okay. Well, it's certainly a better way of dealing with this than sending them over to some African countries and having child labor involved in taking them apart and reusing certain things. That's unfortunately also what still taints this sector a little bit, or very much so. And so it clearly needs, we need, better solutions than we have today. Okay, again, thank you for that, and we'll be in touch soon, Dwayne, to talk about more in detail about more updates and what you have. Exciting story. Thanks so much.
yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Okay.